Everybody. Hi, we're going live. I'm just going live a little early just so everybody can get a chance to connect and I can get a chance to make sure that I'm squarely in the middle of the screen. Hopefully, you'll be able to see the chat comments. Actually, I'm going to just make a chat. Hi, everyone. It says can't post to some channels. Always says that. Chat overlay. Oh, yep, there it does. It says hi everyone. Okay, good. So that means you can see my chat. And if anybody wants to say hi or anything, or say where you're from, where you're listening from, or who you are, maybe I know you. Um, Go ahead and start doing some chat because then I can see if it was working. I was having a little trouble with this restream. Interestingly, this software contacted me and asked me if I'd be in a research study. So I'm going to be in a research study about this software that I'm using called Restream to do the live stream. But anyway, so that way I can, maybe I'll even get to know more about the software. But anyway, we'll just wait and see if anybody joins. I'm so jealous of these casino streamers that go to the casinos and they play slot machines, and there's always like 700 people on their channel or 1,000 people on their channel, and I'm always like trying to get a few people on my channel. But everybody's spreading the word. If you got data science questions, or you're not feeling good about data science, or you're feeling really good about data science, you can come to the chat and discuss it. Especially the problems that it's hard to discuss like at work, because if you discuss them at work, then people know you don't know that or something. Um, like I used to be married a long time ago, and my husband used to be like all sketched out over posting on Stack Overflow or places like that. We used to have this thing called Usenet where you could post to ask questions. I think it was Usenet, and he'd always be like, "I don't want to post on there because people will figure out who I am and that I don't know how to do something." And I don't know. I don't know. I never really worried about that, but then I always worked at the government. Nobody knew how to do anything at the government. It felt like, I mean, actually, people at the government knew how to do stuff. Like, there's some of the most smartest people. It's just that trying to find the person to answer your question who knows about it. That's the challenge at the government that I used to have, is just finding the right person who knows the right thing. But, you know, that's part of it. That's the informatics part of data science, is the communication part, finding the right people. Well, I'm just talking a little before we get started because today, I just plan on giving an update. I was watching, there's these telehealth people, they give updates, right? And their updates are really short. They're like 5 minutes or something. And I'm like, well, I have more to say than that. But um, so I made a LinkedIn Learning article with some of the updates, but I'm going to do more, because the reason I haven't been live streaming a lot is I've been writing a lot. I've been writing a lot of peer-reviewed articles. So and also just my usual tutoring and mentoring and stuff. Um, but when I write a lot of peer-reviewed articles, it often means I'm doing analysis. And so then I have some new code and new insights that I can share with you. But that takes some time to put together a blog post with code or a video with code. So for now, I just thought I'd give you an update and tell you what's going on. And maybe you can tell me what's going on, because there's so many different parts of data science in our field, that it's hard to tell what's going on. So it's good to have an update. And there's stuff I didn't even put in that article, like, because I remember I went to two different uh, webinars, and they were both good. They were both on different data topics, but they were both good. I should really write about those. Okay, well, it's noon, so I'm gonna officially open the chat. Welcome to live chat, data science update and discussion. Get your chat on. and so before we go too far, I'm Monika Wahi, and I've got this chat overlay here in Restream, and supposedly we should be able to see everybody's chat, but I've been having some trouble with this software. So sorry. So those of you who know me, welcome to our data science chat. Those of you who don't know me, I'm an epidemiologist that's a data scientist also. I have a blog, and I'm mainly trying to build up my YouTube channel, but I'm also a LinkedIn Learning author and an author of textbooks. But also, like, I just have a business. I do consulting. I do data science. I teach data science. I mentor data science. And what does that mean? Well, that means that sometimes I get really busy with my customers who need data science, and then I can't do a live stream or keep up with my blog or all the other problems that other people also have. But right. So, but the good side of it is, as I was saying before I officially started the stream, is that when I do work with customers, real life customers, I learn like what's going on in the industry, and I learn about what people's issues are nowadays. And so I like to share that kind of stuff with you, because then, because a lot of my learners are trying to move into a new career or try something new. And also the world around us is just changing so much. So there's a lot to update you on, but I put some stuff into this article that I put on LinkedIn, which I'm going to share my screen now, and we'll kind of look at some of the things in there. Um, and feel free to let's see here. I don't know which one of these I want to see. Okay. So this should be it. So this is and this was in the link in the description. So this is just the article I wrote. And so the first thing I want to say was, I was so busy through February and so far in March that I kind of was missing Black History Month and Women's History Month. But I wasn't really missing it inside myself because I was thinking of the women that are inspiring me, that I want to inspire other people. I want to share their science with others. And so there's these three women I want to highlight. And the reason I want to highlight, well, there's sort of two things. There's the sort of basic thing of I want you to know about their research and what they're doing, because the topic is really important. But secondly, I also want you to know about like what it's like to, fight their fights in a way, because it's pretty sexist in our field. And these people are succeeding. Although I'll say Dr. Kechi, the third one, she's not in data science, but she's in science, right? Like she's doing research, so she's running into the same buzzsaws that we run into. Maybe not exactly the same that you might if you run like a data warehouse or something like what I've run into, or probably what Dr. Gebru has run into with her AI projects. But there's sort of this special sets of problems that you get when you're a woman and you get a certain level of power. Like when you're sort of lower, people dismiss you and stuff. But if you get power, like men start to attack, and not all of them, obviously. There's always just it's a minority, but it's a loud minority, and the majority doesn't stop them. That's the problem. The problem isn't so much the men that just say things and meetings, or just do things, just take stuff from you or whatever they do. What matters is the men who stand around and don't stop it. They don't stand up and say, "Hey, cut it out. What are you doing?" And so that's been my problem in life. It's not so much the aggressor guys, but everybody else who just stands there stupidly, and I have to stand up for myself, you know. So whoever's watching this, I want to educate you that this happens to women. And whether you're a woman or a man, or you're, not choosing a gender, you're not bi or whatever, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what your gender is. We need to stand up for people when they're being treated like this. And so now I'm going to start. And luckily, the first person I'm going to talk about here, I don't know what I don't none of the stuff out there makes me think that she struggled. I'm sure she has. We all have. But she's just like a rock star. Everything looks perfect, right? And her name is Dr. Kimberly Sellers. I don't know her personally. I've connected with her on LinkedIn and I've been looking at her research basically. Um, so she does this thing that's impossible for me, which is math. She's a full professor of mathematics and statistics with her specialty in statistics. But one thing that really first attracted me to her research is that she's an author of an R package. And that's kind of one of my bucket list things is I'd like to author an R package. I don't know about what. So obviously I'm thinking about it the wrong way. Um, Dr. Sellers' research is on fitting Conway-Maxwell-Poisson regression models. Now, I don't know a lot about that because I usually don't fit that. But I know with Poisson in it, it's rates. And so she co-authored this R package for that. Her specialty is studying dispersion. So she's really into the math and theoretical statistics side of it, whereas I'm in more of the applied statistics. Um, but what's important is you see that she's at Georgetown University. And one of the things I wanted to show you, she has a personal webpage. This opens when I click on it. Yeah. So this is her personal webpage. Um, well, personal professional. Uh, and look at how gorgeous it is, right? Um, like she didn't have to do that, but she did. And one of the big things on there is teaching. So one of the take home messages I want everybody to get from this is that before you choose to go study for your PhD or whatever, data science, you can learn a lot about the professors at these colleges. And right now, if I was like a person thinking about studying mathematics and statistics, and I was kind of excited about Conway Maxwell Poisson regression models, or I thought I could get excited about it, I would go here, and try to work with her. So, I also linked you to an old Q&A where it's old. It's like from 2015, but what I liked about it is she sort of explains her teaching philosophy and other things. And this is her R package. Of course, I don't actually know how to fit this distribution, so I'll have to learn a little bit more before I do that. Oh, Daniel, here you are. I just looked at the chat here, so let me share here. Good to see you and attend today's session. Let me show it. Well, thank you, Daniel. Daniel is my SaaS superstar on LinkedIn. And let me know if you have any special requests topic because I hardly get to talk to you. And I'd love to tell you anything that you're interested in. All right. So then let me go back to our data science update. Let's see here. So the next female scientist on our list is Dr. Gebru. And Dr. Timnit Gebru is now the founding and executive director of the Distributed Artificial Intelligence Research Institute, or also it's DAIR, like that. That's what she is now. Now, I don't know her personally, but which is ironic because she grew up near where I live. Um, but I don't know her personally. And actually, I guess Wired magazine, how I learned about her research is actually from this really good profile in Wired magazine here, which I keep around because I was very inspired by reading it. Okay. There's a lot going on with her. Okay. So first we have to go back to think about artificial intelligence for a second. Okay. So let's just remember what that is. It's a model, right? It's an equation. And like it's like a regression equation, but it's got more slopes and stuff, but basically it's a predictive model. So how do you get an AI model? Well, you give it a whole boatload of data and you tell it what the dependent variable is, and you try to get it to fit like best predictive model of that dependent variable. Okay, so you're following me. So if you're in a racist society that disproportionately jails black people, then of course, if you take data about people who are jailed, you're going to come up with people who are black, people who are poor, all the people that are being oppressed in our correctional system. So it's not predictive necessarily. It way reflective. It's telling us what our values are, like who belongs in prison. Okay. Well, that's a problem because if it reflects back our values and it doesn't say people who commit crimes and are violent and dangerous belong in prison, it says people who are black and poor belong in prison. We screwed up. We screwed up our prison system. Okay. And so the problem with taking an AI model, making it and fitting it to the dependent variable is you have to think about what the independent variables actually mean. Everybody hates that part, right? You have to actually think about them. One of the big problems, and I'm not an AI expert, but one of the big problems in AI models is people will fit something that is not allowed to be in the model. Like they'll even do this in regression where let's say like I had this guy who had all these mice and he was trying to predict their weight at the end of the study. And he wanted to adjust for something else at the end of the study. And I'm like, you can't do that because you wouldn't know that at the beginning of the study if you're trying to predict it, right? And he could not wrap his mind around that. So that's a common AI mistake, to put something you couldn't have known in to predict something that happens later. Okay? So that's its own problem. But otherwise, like I've heard of where they try to do classification of images and then they build an AI model and images of stuff in the kitchen is then correlated to women because we're sexist and we relate women in kitchen. And so this is the problem with AI. Like that's the problem in general with AI, is that it reflects our biases more than like some magic predictive thing. So that's a problem if you're trying to do something like sell stuff. And everybody's trying to sell stuff. So Google got concerned about the problem of this bias problem. You can do stuff about it. Like obviously this problem exists and people research it. So there's stuff you can do about it, right? But they wanted, obviously if it's Google, they want to solve it. So they put together a team that was led by Dr. Gebru that, and in a way it's kind of ethics, right? Because you're trying to not just keep black poor people in jail because you're racist and you set up this correctional system that now produces AI models that say that, you know what I mean? Like that cycle is bad. What you're really trying to do is something practical, like predicting who needs help, that you can go help them, you know not you see what I'm saying, like something useful for capitalism or something. So um probably Dr. Gebru and I are similar in that we're researchers and we do hypothesis driven analysis. And so when I worked at the Army, at Natick Labs, I was doing that too. And I had the same exact experience that she did, that was actually written about in the Wired article. And that's where she made a peer reviewed article and went to go submit it. And her bosses wouldn't let her submit it. And the article wasn't even like that controversial. And that literally happened to me. I had an article that was benchmarking how fast it was to load data sets in SQL Server versus PC SAS, because I don't know why we were using PC SAS, but I was trying to show them how like lagged it is. Nobody believed me, so I just did the study. It's not a controversial study, but I could never publish it. It was a beautiful study. And I know how she feels. Well, this is what I did. When I left the Army, I just started my own business, right? And she almost did the same thing. Only what she did was a little more grand, I think. And that is that she um I'm sharing my screen again here, is that she set up, is this working? Yeah. She set up this distributed AI uh, institute, research institute. So you can go there. There's not much on the page. I keep going back there to see what's going on because, of course, wouldn't it be cool to work there, right? Or do something for them. Um, she's gotten her team together, I think. But you definitely want to watch her research because if it was suppressed, it's got to be good. All right, so let's move on to the last researcher I want to highlight, which is my close friend Kechi. I just love Kechi. I don't know if she's on this live stream. Did I invite her to the live stream? I don't even know if she's on LinkedIn, but she used to live in Boston. That's where I live, and that's how I met her. We used to work together, and then now she's really taking off. She just received full professor tenure at Central Michigan University. She's the head of their nursing program. She's the director. I looked it up to make sure it was director of nursing. So if anybody's out there and you want to go, especially if you have an associate's degree in nursing and you want your BSN, definitely contact Kechi because that's what she does. And so she's mainly a nurse educator and administrator. She used to, I guess, do patient care, but by the time I met, she was the nurse educator and administrator. And she really, really, really understands nursing education, which is super complex. Okay. But I've known her like kind of a long time now, maybe like 10 years even. So I've watched her research sort of evolve. It started more towards where she was focusing on like improving nursing education and what it would take to improve nursing education. And that sort of segued into the fact that nursing education is just so racist. It's like if you're not white, you usually have a terrible experience in nursing education. And I mean that so you can't just look away if that's the problem. So it it sort of evolved towards institutionalized racism in nursing, and she was featured in her research was featured in this USA Today article, how nurses of color fight the rampant racism plaguing their field. That's what I linked to here. Um, and I encourage you to read that. And I also encourage you to go to her Google Scholar page because she keeps that up really nicely. And it's got her research in it. And it's really interesting because I'm in public health. And what my concern is healthcare quality. Those of you who look at my other videos and go to my blog, you'll see I do a lot with healthcare quality. I did a lot with a big client in Qatar. Their healthcare quality department. I was working with them to do research to improve healthcare quality. Well, if you have racism, it's going to ruin any effort at healthcare quality that you make. And now that the COVID-19 pandemic happened, in the US, we can really see the effects of institutionalized racism in the health system, you know. So it's almost like public health has to turn its attention to institutionalized racism, just the way nursing education has to. Because from the nursing side, what has happened is nurses have been told that they're the solution to the US healthcare system being fragmented and not efficient and whatever. Why? Why are they the solution? I don't know. There's always dumping on women. You know what I'm saying? But that's been promoted for so long. And so Dr. Kechi's kind of like, well, if we're the solution, we need to get our act together. We can't be racist. We can't have racist education and racist stuff going on. Like at least that. So I really like it in a way because we're from totally different fields, but we're kind of going for the same issues. That we, just want quality healthcare and quality education. Me and public health and data science, but her in nursing. But you know what I mean? It's like pretty important. Well, now I keep checking the chat here, so if anybody's got any questions, go ahead and ask them on any topic. I'm just giving you the update of what I've been up to because I was so busy. Um, I wasn't really doing anything with those researchers, but I was looking up them and following them, and so that was part of what I was doing for those, for Women's History Month this month and Black History Month for last month. Oh, and by the way, I'm on the board of directors for Central Boston Elder Services, which is they're an elder a nonprofit providing home care services to African American elders in Boston. There's a nursing home, but they also provide other services, in-home services. They're really nice member of our community, and they did a lovely video. They wouldn't let me embed it here. It's just wonderful. I put a screenshot from it up here for Black History Month. It just makes you feel so good when you watch it. And also, please consider donating to Central Boston. I'll tell you where your donation goes. They literally go out and buy like walkers for these people or pay for their dentures. Or when it gets really hot, like maybe they'll buy them an air conditioner. Like they need money like that they can just spend on their clients that's not regulated by the state or anything like that. So, if you give money, like if you gave like $50, probably somebody's going to use that as a real like object in their home that's going to change their lives, like they'll be able to see because they have glasses. It's so if you've ever are like, oh, I'm worried this will go to administration, if you donate to this link, no, it's going to go to buy that stuff for those people. And then let's see here. Now I'll move on to my personal update. So this is something I'm very excited about, that I've been doing with my faithful forever intern, Natasha Dukach. And she, I think you probably want to go to her site. She's Ukrainian and she's over there trying to help everybody. And she also has like a charity where you can give where they can give cash to people who are fleeing. So you should go. I think this is her LinkedIn site. So go look at that. But before all that started, um, months ago, a few months ago, we were just in Boston together. She lives here with me, and not with me, but nearby. And we're kind of neighbors, and so we can meet stuff. We can do collaborate really easily. So we've been collaborating on sort of a series of projects to do with dashboard design and functionality. I have a background in design. I have an undergraduate degree in fashion design, but I learned graphic design. I've learned a lot about design and like user interface design. And I'm just terrible. I cannot program front end to save my life. So Natasha, on the other hand, she's kind of how I was saying, like, Dr. Sellers is so amazingly smart that she's so mathematical, whatever. Well, Natasha's also just dashingly smart. I don't know how she's figured all this stuff out. Like, I don't even know why I call her my intern. She's like learned all of it on her own. But anyway, we've had this sort of line of where we're working on dashboards design, and she's actually building these dashboards in different R packages, and she's just fearless. She's just fearless. She'll try anything to get things to work. She's amazing. So, what our latest stint is she found this dashboard online. I encourage you to visit it. I couldn't make head nor tail of it, as I said on here. And I was kind of ignored it, but she really wanted me to look at it. It really infuriated her, and that started to make me mad too, because what it was supposed to be is a dashboard that helps people like me and Natasha figure out what hospital to go to that has the least rates of infection, and it doesn't work for that. Like I'm an epidemiologist, I can't tell what this dashboard is saying. I can't tell what the data's from. I just like moved aside. I looked away, and she's like, "No, you have to look at the ugliness." And what I found is it's put up by one of our offices. We have a big government in Massachusetts because we're Massachusetts. We get a lot of money. So I don't have a lot of money, but our government does. They had enough to put up this dashboard. And so it made Natasha so mad that, and she started asking around. A lot of people pointed out that the dashboard data in there was probably from the National Health Safety Network, which is not really that good of data. So the data is probably not that good. That's what I thought. That's what everybody. But she's just fearless, like I said. She said, "Well, let's scrape the data out." Because the I think I'm doing that right. National Health Safety Network, NHSN data. That's not private or anything. So it's just a matter of requesting it and getting it and putting it in your dashboard or whatever you're going to do with it. So she scraped it out. She just scraped it out. Like, you can read our book chapter. We published this book chapter, um, and it explains how she scraped it. It's got the packages she used and procedure, roughly the high level one. And she's got a GitHub in there so you can look at what she did and the links to the dashboards. But if even here you can see it's just gorgeous. She redid the dashboard, but the whole chat about is how frustrated we were that the reason why they put up this dashboard here was due to open government data standards, but we couldn't use it. Our taxpayer money basically went to the dashboard that hid the data from us. And so we were mad about that. So that's what this is actually about, is about how to evaluate these open government data dashboards. Like, it provides a system you can use. So that's the heady part of it. The sexy part of it, Natasha did. The heady philosophical part was mine. And we just submitted an abstract to the AMIA meeting. It's going to be in DC in November. It used to always be in DC, and I always went. Then it started being in like San Francisco and stuff, and I just didn't want to go. I love going to DC because it's, especially now that I live on the East Coast, it's so easy to go to. It's like going to New York, but no, I didn't want to go all the way to California or wherever they. I think they held in Orlando once, and I had it with Florida. I lived there for 5 years. I was just done with Florida, so it's a good vacation. Florida is, but I just didn't feel like it. But now DC, I like it. So hopefully they'll accept. We applied for like a system demonstration so we can demonstrate our dashboards for you, and hopefully they'll accept it, and then you can come to the meeting and we will show it to you. But if you, oh, hello, we have a chat. Hello, ma'am. I'm one of your students. I learned a lot from you, but I know that data science is like an ocean. As much as you come closer, you will go deeper. Can you please share some website or application other than Kaggle where beginners can practice and make, I guess this is long. So let me see. Can make models. Okay. So welcome to Fan. So I'm gonna reinterpret your message, your what you said, in a different way. I'm gonna say, like, what I think you're asking for is, where do I go to get ideas for a portfolio project? That's, I mean, what I'm going to call is a portfolio project. Get data for that portfolio project, and then get guidance on how to actually create a project. Okay. Well, let's first talk about the fact that it's really hard to even do that if you're a professional data scientist. Okay. So let's say that, like, Starbucks came to me and they said to me, we don't know why certain coffee is not selling. You know, all the other ones are selling a lot, but this one isn't. Okay, like, I th- I'm welcome to my portfolio project, right? Like, let's say I sign a contract with Starbucks. They'll let me have their data, but what data do I want? Like, how do I mean, there's tons of data at Starbucks. There's transaction data, there's internal data, there's, like, what data would I have? And how would I phrase these questions? Like, when did this coffee become unpopular? When did it even start being sold? Like, I'd have to sort of formulate these questions. And then whatever I ended up doing, like, I'd have to go from their sort of hazy question, like, why isn't our coffee selling? That's not a very clear question, but that's what clients say. you know, what's wrong? You know, why isn't my database working? Why aren't people coming to my website? Like that's they don't ask like hypotheses, and they're all, H0, H1, So you're gonna have to do that yourself. And you're gonna have to figure out how to do that. And you're gonna have to figure out how to pick from their data, even if you're at Starbucks or whatever. So let's say that you're a data scientist and you say, okay, I know how to do it. I know how to re-ask your questions in a way I can answer them, and I know what data to get. Well, then the next step is you've got to actually do the project and communicate to them the answer. Like you've got to get the answer. Like, here's why your coffee's not selling is it's too bitter. Nobody likes it because it's too bitter. Or it's more expensive than the other coffees, or it's oilier and they don't like the oil it's on the top. Like I don't know, you have to find the answer for Starbucks, right? And you got to do that however. So now that I've reframed sort of this issue, Tufan, you probably see that maybe it's not like you should be able to just do a portfolio project. It's like maybe you need someone to walk you through it, right? So what happens is, if you have a lot of money and a lot of time, maybe not a lot of money and a lot of time, but you have money and time. What you can do is you can pay somebody like me or other people. There are other people out there that specialize in different things. And what we will do is guide you from the beginning to the end with this portfolio project. Now, what I'm describing, that right there, is the sort of like top shelf data science experience. Is if a tutor like me or a mentor like me who's got experience and does this all the time sits down with you from the beginning to the end and shows you how to do it. But even if that happened, that's kind of like a person getting a PhD. It's the first time they've ever done the whole project from beginning to end. They don't know how to do it. Like they're going to need help the next time they have to do it independently, even though they have their PhD, even though you just did that. So what I would say is that on the way to doing that, there are these things that you can do where you see how someone else did a portfolio project and you can kind of walk in their footsteps. Now, when people say, what about Kaggle? I say that is exactly what Kaggle is. Kaggle is something where they define the problem to some degree, they got you some data sets, and now you just have to finish. Maybe starting with Kaggle and learning how to do that is a good place. But that's not where you end. That's where you start, with these putting some pieces together. Now, what I tell learners is they should try to find a topic they like and try to find data sets on that topic, no matter what they are. And it's easier now because we have social media. You can get data sets from social media about people talking about a topic. That you find some data about a topic and you find some problem with the topic, which if it's a topic you're familiar with, you already know the problem. Like I met a guy who was into analyzing basketball, um, and he was explaining to me this problem people have when they're trying to bet on basketball games, that they want to know certain metrics and whatever. And so like he already knew kind of what people who bet on basketball worry about and what they want to know. I didn't even understand what he was talking about, but he's perfect. I didn't understand what he was talking about, but I could guide that guy with his data to produce a really nice portfolio project that if somebody DraftKings or somebody wants to hire him, these gambling places, sports gambling places, he'd look really good to them. And that's sort of the way I frame it. Is I say, think of the end. If you want to work at like a marketing analytics place, do analytics about somebody's marketing. Go, say, oh, I saw Zara has a new clothing marketing campaign. Let's see if people are talking about it on Instagram. You know what I mean? Like you can come up with questions that you can answer with public data. It's just not that easy to do when you're just swimming out there and you're new. Like how do I know what question to ask? How do I know what data is going to answer it? Yeah, that's really hard. And again, in the beginning, what I would say is see what other people do. Like read a lot of other like good case studies where somebody good like I'm always telling people to do portfolio projects and I'm always telling them to post them. Well, look at other people's portfolio projects. Don't copy them because that's I mean, you can copy them if you want to just practice, like see what this person did and have their experience, but don't copy, like if somebody asks a question like, you know, what about Zara's new campaign on Instagram? Then, for shoes, don't ask almost the same question for like jackets or something like that. You know what I mean? Instead, ask for, Saks Fifth Avenue or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, make the change different enough so that you're going to have to change your research methods. You're going to have to change everything. Now, what I often do at this point is I pitch my LinkedIn Learning courses because um, that's what you're supposed to do. But the real truth is, I've not found any courses that help people design studies with big data. There are a lot of courses out there that can help you program and learn how to program. And there's a lot of courses out there that can teach you like how to use software in data science and also how to make nice presentations, but it's there's nothing really that teaches you how to ask a question and design a study with the data if you've got that you can use to answer that question, which is what we're all trying to do in data science. So in my LinkedIn Learning courses, there's designing big data healthcare studies, part 1 and part 2, and it's not related to any software. It's just a way you think about formulating questions and answering them in data science. Like one of the things I point out to people is you're going to have data systems that are constantly making production data. Like, oh, somebody went to the emergency room. Here's the ambulance. They're updating their systems, and the emergency room's updating their systems. But if you're trying to do a study for an ambulance group to try and like minimize wait time between dropping off people at the ER and picking them up and stuff, then you're going to have to know like how to design a study that's going to answer exactly that question, you know? And the only way you can really do that is if you get some stable data that's not changing every 2 seconds. So you have to learn how to actually take an extract from the production data I was describing. You have to learn like I imagine the production data to be like the stream. I'm from Minnesota, so there's like the stream going by. La, la, la. There's a stream, and then you just want to scoop up a little data, just a scoop up the sample of data and study it. Just like they would, just like an environmentalist would study a stream. Is that and you study that static data that you get from that ER ambulance or whatever, and you ask your research questions of it and you answer it. So let's say our first research question was, well, how long does it take to turn around the ambulance after they drop off a person at the ER? How long does it take? That's a descriptive question. Well, that's a hard question. You're gonna have to get some data. You're gonna have to probably do some count queries and some sums and whatever, and answer that, because then the next question is that too high or what, or maybe it usually is too high. How do we reduce it? And that's the next research question, and that might be the next set of data you have to get. So you have to get good at doing that. If you're a data scientist, no one else is going to know what to do. People are going to know what data is there because you ask them about their business. What do you do when you drop people off at the ER? And you're going to see they update these things, and so there's data. But they're not gonna know what to do with it. Like, that's all you. So, um, so you said, another application other than the Kaggle where beginners can practice and make models. I would tell you there's this one place where I know you can get a lot of data. Like, there are places where you can get data. There's I'll give you a link to it. ICPS. Um, this is, this is sort of health data. Um that when our government in the US collects a lot of data that they don't really need anymore, but they want people to be able to analyze it, or other places do. They often put it in this repository. It's called ICPSR. It's at University of Michigan and Ann Arbor, I believe. And so that's one example of a place. But it really depends on what. So first, one thing you can do is go find data or figure out data that you can use for a project. But the problem is, if you don't have a topic, you're not really sure what you're looking for. So it's better to pick a topic, like, am I doing marketing? Am I doing health? What am I doing? And then try to find the data and learn about it, and then learn how to ask a question and answer it. So if you took my LinkedIn Learning courses, for example, so you have a study design background, then you picked a topic, and then you went and did that. You found maybe some data. Let's say you picked a healthcare topic, and you found some data on that website I just put there, and you were able to analyze it, apply a study design, ask a reasonable question, apply a study design, analyze the data, and answer it in some sort of blog post or white paper or peer-reviewed article. Then you're a data scientist. Welcome. And you're done. You're there, and you can go get a job and tell people you know how to do that, right? And you can do it again and again and get better at it. But that's basically kind of, there's not really like one website. And also what you'll find is, as much as I put that link there as an example, you'll find data sets from like the 70s and 80s there. You'll find data sets that you really can't get much out of, like you probably wouldn't be able to do much with. But they might be, like I always tell people, try to do something relevant for now, because people will say, oh, that's really interesting. Actually, let me share my screen, because I'm going to show you something that's related that was in my update, which is that I a long time ago, I wanted to show people an example of this advice I'm giving. And so I did this thing where I analyzed data from our local casinos, which was government data, because I like to go to the casino. And my friend and I were so funny. We're even going today to the casino. We always complain about the restaurants, and then we go anyway. We just hope that we can find something good to eat. And we're like, that makes no sense. If we're complaining about the restaurants, certainly other um customers are. And so I have this casino blogger guy, Robin Aubin. He's so wonderful. He likes to travel around and tell us in New England where the best um, casino experiences are. Where is the funnest, best restaurants, and just the best experience. And the name of his blog is New England Time Gambling, or Any Time Gambling. I never really said it out loud, actually. But anyway, when I did that casino, I did a casino comparison, and I gave it to him, and he put it on his blog, and he just did an update. Like we talked, it was before the pandemic. So we talked basically. What I talked to Bin, that's what his name is about, is hypotheses. What are our next analyses? Like, one of the things that Bin said after I posted that the first time was that he said, Monika, Massachusetts is a small state, and we're mainly competing with Foxwoods, which is this big casino in Connecticut, which is next door and state next door. Why aren't you analyzing that Connecticut data with, in vis-a-vis this uh Massachusetts data? Because that's been the big issue of Massachusetts delayed opening casinos, because they're like, well, there's Foxwoods already there. But people in Massachusetts were like, well, we could make taxpayer money or whatever. Why don't we have our own casinos? And so now there's competition. The question was, should we even do it, or would there be too many casinos? But now I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about them having good restaurants. So of course, my friend and I, she's a fintech data analyst, and she's in accounting and stuff. So together we wanted to work on, do a contract with these casinos. Obviously, they're bleeding money. We end up giving them money each time we go. but we haven't been lucky enough to get their attention. So if you talk to the Massachusetts Gaming Commission or Encore Casino, tell them Monica and Josie will do the best analysis for you, give you the best advice. Because actually, I'd love to do it because we've been there so much. And I look around, like one of the things that she's noticed is that there's not a lot of, like, well, I think it's changed, but in the beginning there weren't a lot of people of color there. And I was like, yeah, there's not. And she's like, well, there's nothing here to attract us, And I was like, yeah, because I'm like, my dad's from India, so I'm half Indian, and I'm vegetarian. And you know, the Asian food they have at this casino is not for Indians. you know, it's very greasy and it's not vegetarian. And so I'm just like, okay, they have like 3 Asian restaurants that are all not good for Indians. Come on. It's like some of it seems really obvious, but anyway, data science. That's the thing with data science. I'm like, don't do the data if you can just answer the question, obviously. But anyway, so that was an example of sort of a portfolio project that you would do if you were trying to get hired by the casinos. Although it hasn't worked for me, I haven't tried that hard. But um, and oh, I also wanted to go over some of the other things on here that I've been doing too, which is we went over Natasha's dashboard. Um, I've been doing some work with the R survey package with the BRFSS data, doing weighted analyses, and I think I'm going to publish something about it. But if you want something right away for some reason, like if somebody really needs the help, let me know and I'll do it sooner than later. Then another thing I've been dealing with is predatory journals. So I just want to tell everybody how you know a journal is predatory is it comes from a um, like a printer, a publisher that is a predatory publisher. So legitimate science publishers include like Springer, Elsevier, Science Direct. These are all familiar to you, like Wiley. Um, the predatory ones are not those. There's a list called Bell's List. I encourage you to look it up. Maybe I'll put it. Sometimes I put a nice description on these live streams. So if I get around to doing that, I'll put a link. And so what the problem is my colleagues get these emails from them that say, "Oh, do you want to publish with us?" And they think that it's a good idea, and I'm like, "No, it's not." Like sometimes their names are really similar to legitimate journals. So I've been doing a lot of that, like running interference there. Then also I've been working with my lipedema group. We're working on a paper, and when it comes out, I'll let you know. But someone joined our group who knows a lot about lab values, so I was like very grateful because that's my weak point. Um, and then also just like if anybody's watching this after it's recorded, or we're watching it now or whatever, and you ever have questions for me or you want to talk to me about data science, just contact me for a free consultation. By email or LinkedIn or however, and we'll set up something on Skype or Zoom and I can talk to you about your thing. All right, and then I just wanted to let you guys know that there's this telehealth session next week with this Parks Associates. Um, I think it's kind of expensive if you pay, but I think I got lucky and got a free ticket a couple times. Um, it's really cool if you can go to these online sessions. They're going to try to do them in person. I'd love to go to an in-person one. Um, they get people who are in, it's not just healthcare innovation, but just technological innovation. I tend to come to the healthcare ones where they're talking about their new innovation. And sometimes these things are pretty like early on, like they're early on startups. And some of them are really kind of cute and stuff. Like you kind of know it's not ready for prime time, but you're gonna feel like it's kind of like seeing a local band before they become famous internationally. That's the way you want to kind of see these talks. And so I enjoy going to them. Um, then the other thing I put on here is about Timon Vinke. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. He's a business coach, and I need business coaching. Just so you know, like some of you think I need a data science mentor. Well, if you do, call me, right? I'll hook you up. And so businesses sometimes feel that way too. But the problem is you're just not really sure like who's going to help you. And I would say, this is me personally, it's worse in business and than in data science. The people in data science, we're not perfect, but we tend to be more on the honest side than people in business, unfortunately. There's a lot of like business coaches that I don't think they even know what they're talking about, because if you're in analytics like I am, if you're in from informatics, you take some business course or whatever, and you're just like, this is BS. And so what I liked about Timon's approach is it's sort of like mine, you know and so where he was trying to explain, what he does, like if you pay a business coach, what do they do, and I even wrote a blog post that says, what does a paid data science mentor do, just so people can set reasonable expectations. Well, Timon's holding this free business boost program, but it's like he invests a lot of time in it. So um you only have so many people in it. So you want to sign up for it. And it's a few sessions, and it's to help you like understand, I think, the best I understand it, how to get business coaching, what you can get from it. He's been successful in bigger businesses and smaller businesses. So I'm like, well, that's, if somebody already is like, you see how many publications I have, how many things, if you come to me and you need to do a peer reviewed publication, we won't have any problem because I've done it so many times. So that's why I was like, okay, in business, when you're kind of worried about getting coaching, he seemed like he had a really good program for me to try it out and see if we click. Because that's another thing, is whether you're doing data science coaching or business coaching, you really have to click with a person. And there have been times where I just said to customers, we just are not a good match, or we're not, I like, if that happens, I don't charge them. I just say, we can't really work together. We're not, our styles just don't work. Um, and so that's another reason why, well, that's part of the reason why I have all these LinkedIn learning stuff, and I have this stuff on YouTube is, I've got kind of like a strong personality, but they always say that about women. They said that about Hillary Clinton. They always say, people have always called me abrasive, but I think that's sexist. But anyway, if people have problem with my personality, then they don't have to hire me. And the fact that I have all of this information out there about what I'm like, makes that an easy decision for people, hopefully. So that was mainly my data science update. Um, what, like I said, what I really have been doing a lot of is, and I have a colleague, and I already just love working with her because she's like an epidemiologist, and she's knows dentistry. And we've been really looking at oral health and the BRFSS, and issues with oral health care in the US. And we we put together some papers, but the I'll cut you to the chase. It's a big problem if you don't have access to dental care in your population, even if you have access to medical care, because a lot of people don't realize this, but diabetes that can cause your teeth to fall out. Okay, like having chronic illnesses can destroy your teeth. And so if you don't control your diabetes, if you have diabetes, if you don't control it, you could destroy your teeth. And so actually, oral health practitioners really need to be integrated and working together with, medical practitioners, like if you have a diabetic patient, and to some degree this is sort of normal in other countries. Like, I have a lot of customers in Saudi Arabia. They have a big community health dental infrastructure. They have so many general practitioners in dental, and they are well aware of the connection. They have unfortunately, a lot of chronic disease in Saudi Arabia, high rates of diabetes, high rates of now I'm finding somebody's telling me liver disease. If you look it up, there's some papers on it. And these people are at total risk for their teeth falling out, but they have this whole oral health care system around them that's supporting them. Um, it's just that, Saudi Arabia has its own public health problems because, people are different everywhere. Like here in the US, we had this anti-vax stuff going on. In Saudi, it's different. Like a lot of people have diabetes, they don't want to get tested because then they'll get the label of diabetes and then they have to go deal with it. But isn't that better than just not knowing you have it and being sick and not knowing what you're doing to your body? So that's one of the big messages in Saudi Arabia is just go get tested, see if you've got diabetes. Because if you got it, you know, Saudi Arabia's there to help you manage it and feel better. If you're in the US, good luck. I don't know. I don't know if we're here to help you manage it. We charge $1 million for insulin. And I don't know. I don't know what's happening in the US healthcare system. You might, if you've been watching my live streams and following me, I did a project for Yale University. I did some lectures for them. And one of the questions, that I need to shine some light on was what's the future of our healthcare system? I just have no idea in the US. I really just don't know where it's going. It's crashed. And um, other things are taking precedent over our healthcare system, and so nobody's really like cleaning it up and putting in trying to figure out how to get it to work. I People still come to work, there's still all these hospitals around me. um I still get charged my insurance fee. I was just thinking today, I don't know if I've seen my practitioner. I don't even know when the last time I had my mammogram was. I'm paying someone, uh, but I don't know if I'm getting any care. Uh, I mean, I can afford dental insurance, so I'm getting dental care. That's another finding from one of our papers, I guess. It's just, you need to give people dental insurance in the US or they're not going to be able to access oral health care. All right. Well, thank you to Daniel and to Fawn and whoever else showed up today at my data science chat update. And don't forget to like this if you liked this video and subscribe if you want to have more opportunities to chat and more videos like this. And also, there's other videos. There's videos of me showing you how to use SAS, how to use R, how to get a job, how to do public health. I don't know. I'm trying to build up my YouTube channel more. I already have a lot of good videos, but some of them are a little older, so I'm trying to refresh things and like with this update, put some new material on. All right. Well, thanks very much for showing up on this Friday. I hope if you're watching this in real time that you have a good weekend, and I'll see you on the next live stream. Bye-bye.